Hello, this is Bridget Rau with Divine Essentials. Alright, guys, we're going into part 4 of the Manifesting Ideal Union series. So, if you have missed any of these, part 1, we kind of talked about like getting clear about what that means. What does your ideal union look like to you? And who would be an ideal partner for you? Not thinking about a particular person, but more so what a person could bring to you that would be ideal for you in this now moment and as you progress through life. Like, what does that look like to you? All of those things, because a lot of times people aren't very clear about that. It's like they just know that they want so and so, or they just know that they want someone, but they don't like tell the universe what that means. They're just like, I want a boyfriend, I want a girlfriend, or I want Joe to be my boyfriend, I want Sarah to be my girlfriend, but they don't think about like all the other dynamics within it. And so that was the first part. It was like really getting clear on that stuff. And then also, if there was a particular person that you're thinking about, can they be that for you right now in this moment, or can they be that for you 10 years down the road? Do you have the same type of belief systems, or do you even know? Do you know this person well enough to know that about them? And if you don't, you may want to start getting like that type of information so that you're not chasing after something or trying to manifest something with somebody that can never give to you what you're truly supposed to have or wanting. And if that's the case, that may be why they're not showing up for you, because they aren't going to give to you what you want. All right, so that was week 1. Week 2 is about, shifting your energy and getting into a place of, what would it be like to have somebody in your life sometimes, and also being aware of your energy when you're out and about so that you can start attracting interactions with people. Like, being more aware of like all the opportunities that we have every day at our fingertips and in our day-to-day like excursions. We go to the grocery store, we go here, we go there, to interact with people and start getting into that vibration of attraction, of flirting, of acknowledging, even if it's not somebody you're attracted to, even if you're like very caught up on a particular person and you're like, I don't want anybody else but that person. By being like that, you could be blocking you from that person anyways, because they're going to feel that, and it's like not a good vibe to be in. But if you're out and about and you like, some guy smiles at you or a lady smiles at you and you smile back and you like, enjoy it, it will attract more of that and more of that and more of that, and it may shift the dynamic with that one person you've been super focused on. If not, it may start to open you up to these other experiences with other people, and just shifting your energy in general. Also being aware of like how you may be different if somebody was like in your presence all the time, cleaning your home. If somebody was coming to your house, how would things be different if you were in a relationship? Would your underwear be on the floor if this person showed up tomorrow? When you go to the bathroom in the morning, would you leave your door wide open? Things like that type of stuff to be aware of, helping us to shift our energy when it comes to manifesting an ideal union. Then week 3, we started with the beliefs. So beliefs are a very, very broad thing. They impact everything. They start impacting us before we even incarnate. They come from our past lives, they come from our ancestors, they come from our parents, they come from society, and they come from our lived experiences. So there was a lot to it. At the end of last week, I started talking a little bit about, like some of the beliefs that people are getting caught up within in the twin flame situations that are not so positive or good or beneficial for you to come to a place of union. So I kind of want to go more into that tonight. And I do plan to do a like little live Q&A where I can talk to you guys and see what you guys have to say about relationships. And I think that will help me to know more for next time if I need to go even further with this or go into something else. But basically, this is something I feel is important because there's so many beliefs that are created through society and through yourself that can be good or bad or detrimental when it comes to manifesting a healthy union or an ideal union with somebody. So mostly our relationships, where our beliefs come from, are either directly or indirectly connected to something. So the indirect stuff usually comes from like your parents, or like society. So like if you grew up in a home where there was a lot of fighting, or if you grew up in a home where like your parents cheated on each other, or there was physical abuse or mental, emotional abuse, that type of stuff may start manifesting in your relationships as you get older and as you start manifesting them. And then society. We're unfortunately in a time now where there's a lot of like normalcy around people getting married and divorcing, people cheating, people having side chicks, people thinking it's cool or funny to have all these bitches and hoes and, to have a focus on money. And if you're somebody that's, attracted to somebody that has those belief systems, no matter how much you want to be in a healthy union with them, they may not be able to give that to you right now because they don't see anything wrong with their behaviors or their beliefs. All right, so we want to be aware of that. And we also want to be aware of the belief systems that have been set up around like twin flames and soulmates and things like that, because those can be limiting us as well. I think my beliefs around twin flames and soulmates have shifted a lot throughout my journey, and they continue to shift. However, I know a lot of people are still like in one set thing. So this is stuff that we're going to be talking about. But the direct things that we go through also impact us. So like directly, you may have been, if you're here, you probably already had a relationship. If not, this may not impact you as much. This could be something you directly live through in like friendships and stuff. But basically, you could have directly been cheated on in a past relationship. You could have been through abuse, like verbally or physically. You could have been lied to, all of those types of things. Or you could have been somebody that did something like that in a relationship. So those types of belief systems may be set inside of you when it comes to manifesting love. And I've seen this play out with people, like especially people who are like consider themselves to be in limited contact or like wanting to get more into a state of union with a particular person. And even in that, like that statement, limited contact, you're going around telling yourself that you're in limited contact, and you're like labeling yourself with that and believing that. So that's probably where you're going to continue to stay. So this is what I mean. I'm not trying to like blow off and say like, oh, everything that you believe about twin flames is wrong. I'm just saying shift your beliefs around it so that you're not living in the dynamic that you've created for yourself. So if you keep labeling yourself in being in separation, if you keep labeling yourself in being in limited contact, try to get rid of those beliefs so that you're not, continuing to be there. Try to start like believing that you're already in a state of union. You're already where you need to be. Now, when it comes to like those, what I was saying with like the direct things that you could be, bringing into your relationship, like if you were cheated on in the past and then you start talking to someone new, there could be little things that they do that trigger you to make you feel like they're doing those things that happened in the past. Like maybe one day they don't answer the phone on time, or they, have to go and do something, and like that part of you that was cheated on in the past comes up and is like, they're talking to somebody else. If they didn't answer the phone, they must be cheating. They must be doing this. Like it runs to that false belief that just automatically goes there. And they may not be doing that. But because you go there, you start to attract that. Like you start to see that. And if you keep putting that out there and you keep making that reality like a reality, you may either push them to that point or just get like see that no matter what's going on, and just be a very unhealthy dynamic. So these are clear indications that those are belief systems that come from a direct experience that need to be reprogrammed and cleared out. That not everybody that doesn't answer the phone is cheating, or not everybody that, is busy is like living a second life, or not everybody that flinches or get angry is going to hit, or not everybody that has sarcasm is verbally abusing you. Because I've seen that too, where if you've been in a verbally abusive relationship, you may even end up becoming verbally abusive. Like I'm very sarcastic because I grew up in a family where like that wasn't okay to be like, oh, I love you, and like let's talk about our feelings. Like my stepfather, one of the biggest memories I have of him was my little sister went like to give him a hug and say I love you, and he like pushed her away. We never had that there. And my dad was always like in and out, like I lived with my mom predominantly, so I never got to really see so much of how he was in that way. So I've noticed in my relationships, when it comes to like being all touchy-feely and I love you and you're amazing, I have a very awkward time around it, and I get more sarcastic. I have a hard time accepting like compliments and taking that type of stuff from people when they're like, oh, I love you, and want to call me like names and things like that. I'm like it feels weird. So you could be doing stuff like that. You could be like becoming sarcastic and almost like a verbally abusive type of thing, or setting yourself up in like attracting more verbal abusive type of experiences, or expecting verbal abuse from people, or just being very uncomfortable in authentic loving communication from people. All right, so this is, and especially within twin flames, because if you've gone through those things, these people may do something that either mimics what you've been through or something completely different from what you've been through, but either way it triggers something inside of you to bring your awareness to what needs to be healed. So you see how it's like there's different levels, and for everybody it's going to be different. but you got to bring that awareness there and check in on yourself and check on, what it is that you're thinking and what you're believing, and also be aware that their beliefs and what they're thinking and what they've been through is going to impact stuff as well. Now for like twin flame stuff, like if you're single and you come to my channel and you're like, I just want to manifest my twin flame, is it okay that like I don't have one yet but I resonate with this? I'm like, yes. However, be careful, because unfortunately in the collective right now there's these like beliefs that your twin flame, you meet your twin flame and then they run, or that they ghost you, or that like they treat you kind of like a booty call, or like, you shouldn't have any boundaries with them. Like you can't, like a lot of times the one that identifies as the chaser ends up being like, oh, I can't reject them because if I reject them, they'll never return. Or, if they come in for a booty call and I say no, they may never come back. You set yourself into that dynamic where you have no boundaries, no self-respect. How the hell can you expect this person to have that for you? So these are the types of things that people need to shift. I'm not saying that these aren't, like, that they're not really things that could happen in a twin flame dynamic. I'm just saying stop feeding so much power to it and stop giving so much, like, oh, that's a normal thing to happen in a twin flame dynamic, because it shouldn't be. None of this should be normal in any healthy dynamic. Somebody who loves you should not run from you. They shouldn't, but they might do it. But the more that you're like equating that to being normal behavior because it's my twin flame, the more you're setting up like the dynamic for that to continue happening, instead of looking at why it's happening, instead of looking at healing what it's connected to, or realizing that sometimes they ghost because they've got their own stuff going on that they need to heal, whether it was a direct thing or indirect thing that they experienced. But instead of waiting around and allowing it to happen, you've got to be the one that puts an end to it. All right? Because I find this happens a lot with people where it's like, oh yeah, he came back and he ghosted again. But you don't do anything different about it. You're just like, wait for them to come back and do it again, do it again, do it again. You're never going to reach your physical union by holding on to that belief system of that's a normal experience that happens within a twin flame dynamic. And that's why I say to those who do not have somebody yet to be careful what you wish for and be clear about what you believe around twin flames, but be aware what other people believe when you're out there saying, I want my twin flame, that you're not attracting something like this. Because there are people out there who attract in a twin flame and they show up and they get together and it's beautiful and they don't run and they don't breadcrumb or have these weird things or do any of this stuff that's been very difficult for a lot of people. They just come together and they stay together and they love each other. Sometimes there'll be physical distance that's an issue. Sometimes there will be other issues. But for the most part, it's like they both want to be there. They both show up for each other. They both love each other unconditionally. And they like heal each other and they step into alignment with their mission work and they do amazing things. There's are very healthy unions that come into play here. But even in those unions, they're still not fully united in oneness that happens at the end of the like whole journey here. So try to like more so focus on that belief system, that, healthy twin flame union where there's no running, where there's none of this stuff, and stop, making this stuff be normal. Okay. Even though it happens, that's great and dandy, but stop feeding so much energy to it or labeling yourself under these dynamics. Don't call yourself a chaser. Don't call them a runner. Just be in your energy and just exist in your energy. And when you're dealing with these types of behaviors from somebody, stop believing the things that are allowing for it to continue to happen. Like if they come in and say like you have this dynamic where maybe they get a little drunk and then they call you up and they're like, hey, I miss you and I want you to come see me and I love you and blah blah blah. Okay, maybe the first time you go, and if they go back into ghost mode afterwards, you're like, oh, they didn't mean that. That hurt, blah, 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 blah. Now we're back into the freaking chaser dynamic and back into the ghosting dynamic. All right, so you've done that through once. But if they come back at with that same type of thing, like they call you in the middle of the night and they're like, hey, I miss you, and it's been like a few months, you maybe have gotten yourself to a better place, and then they show back up, you may be somebody again that's like, okay, here I go. Don't keep doing that, because you're just allowing them to believe that it's okay to do that to you, and you're believing that it's a normal part of this whole process, and it's not. Okay? It does happen. Unfortunately, it has been something I've seen consistently without people who are being, putting that label on themselves. but it shouldn't be. Especially when everybody's like, wanting a twin flame union, and it's like the most amazing person that you've ever met, and you have this fiery passion with them, and it's beautiful. Why the hell are we bringing all this nasty stuff into it, and why are we allowing this nasty stuff to continue? So that's what I'm saying. Stop allowing these things to happen, and stop believing that it's normal for it to happen, because it doesn't have to be. And when they show up in that way, don't believe that because you say no that they're never going to show back up again. That's not what's going to happen. If they care and they've shown up in those times, consistent, like they come back into your life, that there's something big there, but you give in and go over and do a booty call type of thing, and they go back to ghosting, you are going to have to be the one that says no to that, so that you put up the boundaries and you tell them a new belief system that, hey, I'm not going to wait around forever, and hey, I'm not going to be your booty call, and hey, you can't just ghost me and then show up whenever it is convenient for you. And one or two things will happen. They'll figure it out and they'll shift their way of approaching you, or you'll heal to a point where you can now attract in somebody else that's going to give to you that type of energy, that's going to be good to you. And I know a lot of people who are in those unhealthy things, or codependent energies, they've come from unhealthy places. They don't want that at all. They're like, I don't care, I just want them. You gotta realize that even if you want them and allow that stuff to happen, you're never gonna truly have them. So there has to be a part where you break the cycle and say, enough's enough. I'm not gonna do this. And if they never show up to show you that they care beyond what they've shown up to this point, then look at it as a blessing that you're not going to continue racing the rest of your life in that circle dynamic where you see them maybe once every 6 months or once every 3 months, or put down your guard for them and whatever. Who knows who else they could be doing it to? They may not be your twin flame. You may have been dealing with a karmic situation that felt very much like a twin flame, that is eventually going to help you to heal what attracted that in the first place, and then go towards your true type of person that's going to give you all the things that you're looking for that this person may not be able to give to you, because they have their own stuff too. So you have to kind of be just responsible for you and what you're believing is good, or what you're believing is true or normal when it comes to these types of dynamics. And that's why I say to those people out there who are asking for twin flames, just be very clear about what that means to you, and try not to go into collectives where there's like that weird stuff going on. Because I have like these readings where it's like, yep, they're running from you, and they're blah, 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 and there's people like, I don't have one yet, but I resonate with all this, and I'm like, you don't ask for it, because it's not something fun. And even sometimes just even your regular twin flame thing without all this other extra crap can be difficult, because it's about healing. It's about, becoming your best version of self. A soulmate is a beautiful thing. There's nothing wrong with having a soulmate. People meet a soulmate, they get together, they have that passion, they have that love, and then they spend the rest of their life together. They don't have to go through like all these spiritual tests and lessons. And even in me saying that, that's like a false belief too. Just because it's a twin flame doesn't mean you have to go through all these horrible things. It can be very rewarding and beautiful connection with somebody that is a twin flame. That's where we need to shift our beliefs. And I know because of the experiences I've had, up until this point, my natural thing is to go to that difficult place, or to be like, ooh, but I need to stop doing that so that I can attract in either a beautiful union with somebody that I may consider to be my twin flame, or somebody else that's going to actually mirror and show to me that new belief system. Because before you found out about a twin flame and the chaser runner and the ghosting and all the crap that you believe right now, you didn't label it that. You just knew it was Joe or whoever it was. You didn't put that fancy label on them. But when you put the fancy label on them, did it get more intense for you? Did you allow for a lot more stuff that you probably wouldn't have if you didn't have that label on them? So I'm saying get rid of the label, get rid of the beliefs that are not serving us, and start getting a new belief system. Maybe even call it a new name, whatever feels appropriate for you. Instead of calling it a twin flame, call it something else, because the collective, again, is very heavily influencing our beliefs and our energies and what we attract and what we put out. And then there's people out there waiting, just idly waiting for union. They won't date anybody else. Nobody else is good enough for them. It has to be this person. I'm not attracted to anybody else. I can't, even imagine anybody else. I don't want to have sex with anybody else. You don't have to, but you should stop telling yourself that and stop putting that out around you, because that's your belief that nobody else will ever be good enough. Nobody else is ever going to give to you what this person could give to you. And I've seen women do this where they're like so like about one person, and then like 6 months down the road there was somebody else and they're like, I don't think that one was my twin flame. I think this one is. And that goes to show you that it doesn't have to be that way. Like, you believing that nobody else is ever going to give to you what that person gave to you is what's making you stay there. But once you open up and like try something somewhere else, you may have the same experience and be like, oh wait, what was that? Because this now feels better. This is something even more rewarding. This must be my twin flame. Stop placing the labels on it and just let it be what it is. And then when you're in at that place where it's like good and awesome, then you can place your label on it. But for now, it's like, just stop trying so hard to like make it fit into a box or make it be a particular person. Because even in those situations where I see the person, like, they were like all gung-ho about one person, and then somebody else comes in and now they're like, oh, this is the one. It's still not a healthy situation. They're still dealing with dynamics that are sucky. Like, the person showed up and now they're running. And it's like, all right, that's because you're believing that this has to be a part of the situation. This has to be a part of your twin flame journey. You took the label off of this person, put it onto this person, and what did that do? It brought all of those fucking beliefs along with it onto that person. So now you're manifesting the same dynamic that you did with them with this one, which is the same type of thing that happens from our beliefs in general. If you've been in abusive relationships, you've been in unhealthy relationships, or you grew up where there was unhealthy stuff, you attract it. You see it again in the future until you recognize it and until you shift your beliefs around it, and you just get honest with yourself and do the work so that you stop doing this, okay? And again, not everybody has a twin flame. So that can help us too to realize, like, it's, and you know what? We do. Everybody has a twin flame, but not everybody has one here. And stop making it feel like it has to be special. That's why everybody wants to be a twin flame, because they think it's so special. Stop like romanticizing it. Stop putting it on a pedestal, and know that like ideal love is what you're looking for. You're not looking for the difficulties. You're not looking for pain. You're not looking for separation. You're looking for a union that serves you and is healthy for you. Okay, so that may help people too to kind of get out of that whole thing. It's like, there's nothing, it's like, it doesn't have to be this big special thing. There's nothing that a soulmate or whatever can't give to you that you think you have to have with a twin flame. And then for those of you who are dealing with the twin flame situation, where it's like you may be asking yourself what you're doing with this, and is it my twin flame, or all of that, I feel like we need to stop, believing in some of this other stuff. But ultimately, your twin flame should help you improve. They should like help you heal. They should be loving. They should incite love within you, and it should be leading you to a state of union within yourself, to a place of oneness with yourself. So when this person shows up in your life, or when this person showed up in your life, did your life decline or did it improve? When they, and if that, like, if you can't really gauge it, because like for me, I've known the person for a very long time that I, connected with here, I do ultimately feel like everything I've done in my life has very much been directed by that person, because it was like every person after them and everything I've done, it was like it all kind of put together. But in the past, few years, when I had the awareness of twin flame stuff, all of the stuff that other people have experienced within the dynamics, I started experiencing within that connection. However, I ultimately did improve. Like, my life and all my things did improve. I don't know if they've improved. Like, I've seen an improvement in the way that they've, like, showed up to me. But by that point, I was so guarded and afraid because I'd been hurt so many times that I just, like, had big walls up. And they didn't try hard enough to, like, shift that. Like, I feel like they have a lot of things that mirror my insecurities. So it's like, if they show up a little bit and I don't reciprocate, then they're not going to try any harder. But I need them to try harder based off of what they did in the past. So that's why we're like kind of like not doing anything right now. But overall, I feel like there has been an improvement in things that were happening within our dynamic. I feel like there's been a major improvement in my life. I don't really know too much about what's going on in their life to know if it's improved or declined. But that should be what we're focusing on, is the improvement, right? Not focusing on the declining. And if every time that person shows up in your world, things decline or fall apart or aren't getting any better, that may be an indication that it's not your twin flame. Like, they should ultimately propel you forward to heal. And that's the next thing. Are you, receiving healing or trauma when you deal with this person? Is every time they show up, like, feel good? Or is it, like, traumatic, Or does it feel good for a little bit and then it gets extremely traumatic? Are they doing abusive things? Are they cheating on you? Are they treating you like, like not so great? And also be aware that that may only be a reflection of your beliefs about yourself and what you're putting out. If you have no boundaries and no self-respect and you're just like a walking mat, you can't expect this person to give you a whole lot of respect and treat you good. So make sure that they're helping you to heal that stuff and you're not keeping yourself in the cycle that needs to break. You got to teach people how to treat you by treating yourself the way you deserve and not allowing them to do things that don't feel good to you. So ultimately, there should be improvements. There should be healing happening for you to know that, okay, this is my twin flame and things are getting better. And then again, when it comes to like the love, there should be more love when it comes to them than there is pain. Like when I think over like the years and the experiences and stuff, like there does seem to be more, there's a lot of pain that's connected to them, but ultimately I do have a lot of love for them, more love than like pain, I think. But over time, it's like, depending on the day, it may shift. But basically, this person should be bringing you love, and you should feel love when you're in their presence. Like, they shouldn't just be, like, constantly bringing you pain. And then, again, stop calling it separation. Try to just be in the state of union within yourself, oneness within yourself. Stop feeding into the duality of, masculine and feminine and boy and girl and up and down and back and what. Just get rid of all these false things that they're maybe not even false. It's just stop feeding into them so much so that you can get to where you're trying to go, back into oneness, and stop equating it to them. Equate it to yourself. Become one with yourself, and if they are your twin flame, they'll ultimately become one with you because they are your twin flame. If they're not, they won't, and you'll know that you were with the wrong situation, and somebody else will show up to fill up that hole that they left. Okay? So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, is just like we got to stop believing that this is normal, that this is all okay, that this is all part of the journey. Even if it has been a part of your journey or if it's been a part of other people's journey, it doesn't have to be the norm. Let's shift the consciousness. Let's create a new reality where your twin flame situation doesn't have to be so difficult and you don't have to be dealing with these things that other people have dealt with. Transcend it and show them that it can be a lot easier. And if it's not showing easily, then get honest with yourself and say, is this really what I want? If you're wanting love, if you're wanting union, you're wanting to heal and improve your life and be with somebody that gives you all the things that, feel good to you, and this person's not doing it, it may be time to say, and okay, like, let me stop here and go somewhere else where I can open up to something beautiful coming in, or somebody coming in that's going to mirror to me all these things, and try not to label that either. Everybody's like, oh, maybe it's my karmic, or maybe it's this, or maybe it's that. Who gives a shit what it is? Don't keep placing labels on it. Don't keep getting caught up in the dynamics of it. Just let go what's not meant for you in the moment and open up to who or what is supposed to be there, and then see what shows up instead of holding on so tightly to something that doesn't feel good. Okay? So hopefully that assisted you guys. I think next time we'll talk more about like comfort, because I feel like that's an important part and does tie in a lot with twin flames. Like a lot of times people talk about like they get like a little awkward or uncomfortable around their twins, and I think manifesting an ideal union should come with comfort. So that's another thing within the belief system of all this. But I think I'll save that for next time. And in Mune, namaste.